Now, we've been watching the economy for quite a while. We're at this point where the economy is really ripping itself apart. You can't tell if you're listening to the statistics that are coming out, which is unemployment, GDP, stock market. Actually, if you go back prior to 2008 when the stock market came down, you really couldn't tell that there were any types of problems. I mean, everyone thought the economy was going to continue on the way it was. No one knew there were problems with certain corporations, certain financial institutions, insurance companies. And all of a sudden, the market came down out of nowhere. Everyone thought the economy was fantastic. There were a certain few that were looking into it and saying this is a ticking time bomb. They just couldn't put the exact date and time on it, but they knew eventually this was going to happen. But we need to remember that this system that we're in, it's a central banking system. It's not designed to last forever. It's designed to keep everyone in debt, and it's designed to crash and then pump it up and then crash it until the system can't go on any further. This is what we're seeing right now. We are at the end stage of this system, and they know that the system's going to crash. They know they can't keep this going much further. And we talked about how there's two sides to this narrative. Let's look at what has been happening here. Trump, using the deep state, the central bank methods, has pumped the statistical numbers up to an area that we've never seen before. GDP, the highest ever. And I'm not saying the history of the entire economy. I'm talking about since the recovery. I mean, really, he's doubled the GDP numbers just by manipulating the numbers and moving it just a little bit to make the GDP numbers look a lot better. Unemployment down to 3.9%. From all intents and purposes, it looks like the economy is doing fantastically. It's chugging along. In reality, it's falling apart. Nothing's changed. People are still out of the workforce. People didn't get these jobs back. There's hundreds of millions of people out of the workforce. There are a lot of people that are holding down 1, 2, 3 part-time jobs because they lost their full-time job. Corporations, financial institutions, they're still buying back their stocks. The stock market is still manipulated. The statistical numbers, they are still manipulated. And the housing market has been pumped up into this gigantic bubble. At the same time, the retail industry has been falling apart. So if you really look back in the time that we're reporting with Obama to now, not much has changed. Because this is a central bank economy. It's not going to change. Yes, we need to bring manufacturing back here. Yes, we need to get rid of the globalist deals. Yes, we need to rework certain things. That's what's happening in the background right now. In the meantime, it looks like Trump has repaired the economy and made it a lot better. This is done on purpose. This is part of the strategy. So this way, nobody can blame Trump. Remember, before Trump came into office, he said, stock market's a bubble, housing's a bubble, all this stuff is a bubble, it's manipulated. He knew it. And he knew what they were going to do when he got into office. Not just him, there's many people behind him. And he knew the only way around this is to take what they've done in the past and accelerate it to the extreme. And this is what he's done. This way, what are they going to say? He destroyed the economy when he brought GDP up from 2.1 all the way up to 4.2. Brought the unemployment all the way down to 3.9. Even Obama has been trying to get on this, saying that this is his economy. Well, when it falls apart and crashes, he can have it. Remember, this is a central bank economy, and the whole push is to get out of this economy. And there's going to be two narratives. One where you have the deep state, the central banks, where they want their system to continue on. Remember, they thought they were going to have someone else in office. They thought they were going to have a war. This is not happening. They thought with Trump implementing all these tariffs and whatnot and tax relief and things like that, this would be the perfect excuse to say, oh, everything that he's done has brought the economy down. But he kind of tricked them by pumping the statistical numbers up. They can't really come out and say, hey, you brought the economy down from the tariffs, because when you look at what's going on here, it looks fantastic. And they're not going to call him out on manipulation, because he would just point to Obama. I'm using the same calculations. So they're not going to do that. So he kind of has them right now. Now, what's very interesting, we've been hearing a lot about this date of when they think the economy is going to collapse. And what we're getting from JP Morgan, from other bankers, from the central bank system, they're now reporting that the global financial system will crash around 2020. Now, it's not because they're going to crash it, I don't think, at this point. I think what's going to happen here is the system finally crashes on its own. This is the furthest point where they were going to have the system go to, and then it completely breaks down. Think about what all the central banks are doing right now. A lot of them are looking to raise interest rates. Some of them are looking to unwind. Some central banks are not. The Fed is definitely doing this, and I think what's happening here is that Trump and Powell, they're in cahoots with each other. They are working the system to bring it down, and the system, remember, was not designed to go much longer. They thought they were going to explain this all away with an event, but it didn't happen. So now what we're getting is that the system is going to die in 2020. What's the exact date? We don't know. They're not going to say it. They just projected that this is when the system will not be able to function. Do I think this is going to come down a lot sooner than this? Yes, because think about what Trump is doing right now. He's been pumping up the data. And this way, if there's bad news or the Fed is raising rates, they can just say, hey, I made this economy great. The corruption, the Fed brought it down. But what's very interesting about all of this is what they're saying is going to happen. Now, an analyst at investment bank JP Morgan say the recession is going to happen in 2 years, or maybe a little bit sooner. Don't know exactly, but they know the system will only last for a certain period of time. And they're saying that during this time, central banks will spiral into depression. Energy prices, the value of base metals and shares in emerging markets such as Brazil, Russia, India, and China would plummet. And the crash will see U.S. shares, which would drop by 20% below the 50% tumble in the S&P 500 index a decade ago. Now, analysts at the bank, Marko Kolanovic, predicted that the next financial crisis could be sparked by flash crashes, sudden stock sell-offs by computerized trading systems. He said this great liquidity crisis, as described by him, would require central banks to take action to prevent a spiral into a depression. Now, think about the warnings that we've been hearing lately. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown warned that the world was in danger of sleepwalking into a future crisis. Mark Carney from the Bank of England warned a no-deal Brexit could lead to a financial crisis as bad as the crash in 2008. And we can see that they're very worried about what is going to happen here, because they know that their system will only last for a certain period of time, and then it breaks down on its own. This is what we've been experiencing all this time, and it's going to accelerate as time goes on. The problem here is they don't have any one or any country to blame this on, or any type of an event like war. They are stuck, and it's all being set up so they have no way out of this situation. They can't blame it on Trump, the tariffs, even though the corporate media, the mainstream media is continually pushing that agenda where the tariffs are finally going to take effect, we're going to see the economy fall. Remember, Trump told Obama, I have the magic wand right now. He can make the economy look any way he wants. Yes, they are just numbers, but he has the ability to do this. This is part of the strategy. Because Trump, the Patriots, they know that news is going to come out and it's going to rock not just the U.S., but the world. And yes, we're going to see the stock market fall. Yes, we're going to see things shake and implode on itself. And they know all they have to do is point the finger someplace else. So they have everything set up. We have the warnings from the central bank. We know what's going to happen when the system falls apart. And what they've been trying to do in this short period of time is prepare the United States for what comes after, because that's the most important thing. Yes, we need to weather this storm just like any other storm. You need to be prepared and ready. You need everything in place. And remember, the central banker's dollar, this debt note, most likely will be worth pretty much nothing, especially when the world starts to lose faith in the dollar because of corruption and other things that are going on in this country. I mean, if you really think about it, this storm that we've been talking about, it is the perfect storm, because what does it take out all at once? It will take out the deep state. It will take out the deep state funding from the central bank. It will take out the central bank that controls governments, because they have no way out of this. It will allow the countries around the world to transition. China and Russia have been preparing the rest of the world for this transition. Russia has been telling countries now, use your national currency. This is completely the opposite of what the central banks want. They don't want each country to use their national currency. This is not about moving away from the U.S. dollar, hurting the U.S. This is moving away from the central bank debt note. That's what they're really talking about. They're not doing this to hurt the U.S. They're doing it to hurt the central bank. And if every country around the world within the European Union move away from the euro and go back to their national currencies and trade in their national currencies, the central, and that's the word, central bank, they are in trouble. It's all being planned all at once to head in a completely different direction. I mean, think about it. Step one, get rid of the globalist trade deals. TPP, that was easy. Boom, an executive order, that's gone. NAFTA, a little bit more difficult because you had to go through Congress and things like that. So there had to be a renegotiation. You just couldn't get rid of it. Eventually, they will just completely do away with it. And I know they renamed it, but it's still kind of NAFTA. And eventually what they're going to do is probably get rid of the World Trade Organization. There's no reason for it. Everything is going to be bilateral trades, diversification all over the place. Countries will use their national currencies. The stage has been set. The plan is in motion right now. It's all being set up to take out the deep state, the central bank, all of it at once, and transition and reset, actually, everything all at once. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.